Told my fiancée there will be no wedding if she keeps insisting my parents should come. My dad left the family and went no contact when I, 35 male, was 4. My mom remarried and had 2 kids with my stepdad. My stepdad never treated me poorly but always made clear that I was Dale, fake name, to him. He was not my dad. My mom never really tried to fix that relationship either. She seemed to love her new family more and viewed me as a burden. At least that's how I felt. Those feelings were painfully confirmed after my freshman year of college when my mom asked me not to come home anymore. After that phone call, I blocked her and cut off all contact with her, my stepdad and my half-brother. The only family member I still speak to is my half-sister, who insisted on staying in touch. It took me a long time to come to terms with being essentially kicked out of my family. I grew to be very independent, believing I'd live alone for the rest of my life until I met my fiancée 4 years ago. Our relationship has been amazing, and her family welcomed me with open arms. She comes from a typical suburban family, and they've been great to me. Over the years, I've opened up to her about my issues with my family. She's met my sister and never pushed me to reconnect with anyone else, at least not until we started planning the wedding. When we began talking about the guest list, I mentioned friends from college and co-workers, but she kept suggesting that I should invite my parents. At first, I thought she was just trying to see if I wanted to, but I made it clear that I didn't. She seemed to accept that but brought it up again the next day. I calmly explained how much they hurt me, how growing up feeling unwanted and then having that confirmed at 19 really messed with my mental health. I told her that over the years I've realized it's their problem, and if they ever want to fix it they can reach out. But they've made it clear through my sister that they're content pretending I don't exist. It sucks but it's their issue and I can't be the one to solve it. I thought that was the end of it but she brought it up 2 more times. The last time was last night. We were about to finalize the save the date cards and she said, "Are you sure you don't want to invite your parents? I feel like I might just invite them on my side." And that's when I snapped. I told her we might as well throw the invitations away because if she can't respect what I've been through, then I don't want to marry her. I stormed off to our bedroom to cool down, but she followed me trying to talk. I walked out, grabbed my keys and left the house. I spent the night hanging out with friends, came back around 11 p.m. and slept on the couch. She left for work without saying a word to me this morning, and now I'm not sure where we stand. Her behavior was completely unacceptable, but I'm starting to wonder if I went too far. What do you think? Am I wrong? Part 2. Update. I'm overwhelmed by the responses I've received. Thank you to everyone who took the time to share their thoughts. I thought I'd give an update on what's been happening. My fiancée usually gets home around 5:30 p.m., so after finishing work, I work from home. I waited for her. I got worried when it was past 6 p.m. and she still wasn't home, but around 6:15 she walked in with my sister, which was a big surprise. While my sister and I usually connect every Thursday, we live 45 minutes away from each other, so her popping by unannounced was definitely not normal. Both of them looked anxious and I had no idea what was going on. I asked them what was happening and my sister suddenly burst into tears, saying she was sorry. After what felt like 5 minutes of her completely losing it, she started talking about our family. Apparently, when she told my mom and stepdad that I got engaged, it caused a rift between them. Not because they cared about me but because my 27-year-old half-brother is still living at home, single and without a steady job. If you're thinking, wow, they kicked you out at 19 but let him stay past the age when he could rent a car, don't worry, I said it out loud. My mom wants to do the same to my half-brother that she did to me, but my stepdad won't let her. So now they're separated. My mom is staying with family and refusing to come back until my half-brother is out of the house. For some reason that defies all logic, my sister thinks that getting an invite to my wedding will bring the family back together, since it was my engagement that supposedly caused the rift. I blew up at this point. I told her my engagement had nothing to do with their messed up parenting and relationship skills, and that she shouldn't put that burden on me. She cried even harder, but this time I didn't console her. My fiancée had been sitting quietly the whole time, so while my sister was trying to pull herself together, I turned to her. She teared up and told me that my sister had been telling her that I always talk about the family on our Thursday calls, and that deep down I wanted to repair the relationship. I asked how she could believe that when I've been crystal clear that I want no contact with my family and have never mentioned wanting to reconnect. I told her that I share everything with her and would never hold back something like this. She's always been my sounding board. When I switched jobs last year, we talked about it every night, and her advice meant more to me than anyone else's. She apologized and then wanted to show me her phone, specifically the messages between her and my sister. At this point, my sister perked up and asked her not to show me the conversation, but my fiancé insisted, saying she was trying to save our relationship. It turns out my sister had been straight up lying about our Thursday conversations. She'd been telling my fiancé that I was always talking about reconciling with my family, that I was too embarrassed to admit I was partially at fault, and that I really wanted to see them all again. Every time I'd tell my fiancé no, she'd text my sister, and my sister would assure her that I just couldn't be open about it because I was embarrassed. It was all completely false. In reality, I would be perfectly happy never seeing any of them again. I couldn't believe my sister still saw them. At this point, I told my sister to leave and that our Thursday calls were cancelled. She put up a bit of a fight, but I ignored her until she left. She kept saying sorry over and over again, but honestly, I'm done with her. I've blocked her and am going no contact with her for the time being. It feels like a complete betrayal of my feelings and our relationship. As for my fiancé and me, I'm still very upset. She went behind my back with my sister, never asked me about it, and let my sister manipulate her, which hurt me deeply. I told her I love her, but my trust is broken. We've agreed to go to couples therapy and see if we can repair our relationship. I hope we can, but right now I'd say it's a toss-up. She's got a lot of work to do. Part 3. Update. A lot has happened and I'll try to spill it all in order. After my sister left, I told my fiancé I loved her, but I didn't trust her. I felt she had taken my sister's side over mine. So, I continued to sleep on the couch for a couple more nights. She was walking on eggshells around me, which I hated, but I just wasn't ready to forgive her. Then, on Friday night, after hanging out with friends, I came home and crashed on the couch again. We'd had an innocuous conversation earlier, but she had asked me to come to bed, and I told her I just wasn't ready. I woke up around 3 a.m. to use the bathroom and found her sleeping on the floor next to me. I'm not sure why exactly, but it touched me deeply. I even cried a little bit. It meant so much to know that she wanted to be near me, even when I wasn't being loving. It really changed things for me. A few hours later, I woke up to the smell of breakfast cooking. She was making me breakfast, which was a surprise because Saturday is usually my big breakfast making day. We sat down to eat and she was still keeping the conversation light, clearly on eggshells. But I decided to open up. I told her a story from my childhood, how Dale used to make breakfast for the family but never included me. I was older, so I'd sleep in, and by the time I got up, there was rarely any breakfast left. If there was, it would be in the fridge and no one would eat with me. I told her how much our Saturday brunches mean to me and how I hadn't really ever talked about that. I realized it wasn't fair to her. She looked at me with tears in her eyes. She apologized again, but I told her I didn't need it. I forgave her. While my sister did manipulate her, I needed to be more open. It's not just about my family, I had bottled up a lot of my emotions. I told her I was ready to go to therapy with her, and we decided to go the next week. We're also going to start having a night once a week where we just talk about our feelings and make sure everything is on the table. I'll admit I'm still a little apprehensive, but I love her and I think we're on the right path. My sister has tried reaching out several times, but I've blocked her. I told her if she keeps trying, I'll file a restraining order. I've completely cut off my family. It's sad, but it's what's best for me. My fiancé and I are focusing on us, and I'm optimistic that we'll make it through this. We've got a lot of wedding planning left to do, and I'm sure there will be bumps along the way, but I think we're stronger for having gone through this. Thanks for listening.